This is Baby Blue Mind. I walk around the earth and talk about what's on my mind, and today I'm freestyling my philosophical argument that Zen equals flow state. Freestyling my philosophical argument that Zen equals flow state. So to my mind, flow state equals Zen, Zen equals flow state, and I'm just gonna, good morning guys. I'm just gonna freestyle my argument on why that's the case, okay? So I've studied a decent amount of Zen. I'm no kind of expert. I'm no kind of Zen master or anything of that nature. I'll say that straight up front. My favorite book on Zen is called The Way of Zen by Alan Watts. I believe there's a co-author named, his name escapes me, but I think there's a Suzuki in there. I watch just sort of like a ton of, videos and stuff on like what Zen is. How do people define it? What does Zen masters define it as? All this kind of stuff. And it's super interesting for me because I kind of live my life in what I call the humble pursuit of Zen. The humble pursuit of Zen. And sort of, I guess, paradoxically, I have no idea what I'm looking for. Like, when it comes living my life in the humble pursuit of Zen, I don't even know what I'm looking for. And maybe that's sort of the point, because as I'm sure you'll see throughout the course of this video, there's gonna be consistent with the Zen shit that I've read, plenty of paradoxes and dichotomies, which are, if you're into philosophy or you're just a lover of wisdom like I am, that sort of comes with the territory. And man, it's tough in my humble opinion to find something more paradoxical than Zen. And so what I'm gonna go with, and I'll return to this concept, and just remember that I'm freestyling this shit while trying not to get hit by cars, so it's not the easiest thing to do philosophy when you're out for your morning walk, like I am right now, but I'm plugging through. So there's a concept of a definition in I believe it's Japanese Zen, where they sort of and shout out to Tokyo. I've been to Tokyo before. It's the dopest place ever. I want to go back so badly. If you ever go there, go to Tokyo Skytree Tower. It's like the coolest thing you'll ever see. The population density in Tokyo is so radical. It's like being on a different planet, man. You go into Tokyo Station, you go into like Tokyo Station or something like that, which is sort of like one of the central hubs, and people just repopulate, like respawn like it's a video game until the end of time. There's people everywhere. You look around and there's people beneath you, on like above you, beside you, all over. You're just like, I'm just one of, I think as of the time of filming this video, I think the Tokyo metropolitan area has something like 39.4 million inhabitants or something ridiculous like that. Fact check my numbers, and also fact check everything I say in this video. I'm not saying that I'm some sort of like supreme entity when it comes to philosophical discussion or anything like that. In case you can't tell, I just love this shit, so I like talking about it and walking around. When I'm out for my morning walks, just trying to get my mind going in the morning. Oh, just one last thing about Tokyo too, and I think this is in Tokyo Station. One of the, which is like the main like train hub, I think, and there's this place in Tokyo Station. I'm sure you can find it if you look it up, like if you ever go there, so when I was a kid growing up in the United States, I thought ramen noodles were just like those cheap packets of stuff that you get when you're like a college kid and you got no cash or anything like that. That's what I thought ramen was. I didn't know that there's like other ramen, like the real ramen. Had no idea, man. I thought ramen was the stuff that just comes in those like orange bags and you like heat it up in the microwave and stuff like that. Man, nah. And if you think that too, no fault to you, because like I had no idea about that. But then go to Tokyo. Whoo, man. You talk about ramen. Real ramen. Tokyo. Ridiculous ramen. Only place that topped it was Osaka. And anybody who knows Osaka knows that I think the unofficial motto of Osaka, I think, is eat until you go bankrupt. Eat until you go bankrupt. That place is like, if you're a foodie, forget it, man. Forget it. But in Tokyo, okay? In Tokyo, and I think this was in Tokyo Station, because my buddy I went there with, he's like a major foodie. Like, he knows all the stuff. I was just kind of like, you know, going on his advice when it comes to food, because that was like his domain. I'm more into walking around thinking about Zen and other stuff like that, which is dope, being in Tokyo thinking about Zen. That's why I want to go back so badly. Meditating about Zen at the top of Tokyo Skytree Tower. Son, if you're a philosopher or anything like that, highly recommended. Highly recommended. Meditate on Zen at the top of Tokyo Skytree Tower. Easily one of the top experiences of my lifetime. Like, not even close. And I do, not to like big up myself too much, but I do a fair amount of yoga, so I was doing it in Padmasana pose, if that makes sense to anybody out there, which is a true story. So Padmasana pose, meditating on Zen at the top of Tokyo Skytree Tower, dopest experience ever, dude. Try it if that's something that interests you. Just looking out at the endless populace, just the lights, oh my goodness, just an absolutely psychedelic experience, man. Being at the top of a different planet, meditating on Zen. Son, I was like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna top this one. Maybe I have discovered Zen. Go to a different planet. So I was thinking about this, and I know I'm like totally derailed off the argument, but I'll bring it back. If you see any of my other videos, you know I always bring it back. But not always, but about 63% of the time, if I had to estimate. So, son, so I was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts, United States of America. First of all, just getting to Tokyo from Boston in one's lifetime is an achievement, in my humble opinion. Okay, just like in general. And there's a very famous quote. I forget where I came across it, but I think it's from a sage by the name of Milarepa. It was at the front of some book I was reading. And the quote goes as follows. And, you know, double checking on any of this, like my name could be off or my quote could be off. So just like, you know, if you're looking this stuff up as I'm talking, like, check me, you know what I'm saying? And, but I remember I'm freestyling this shit, man. It's 7 o'clock in the morning on my day off. I'm walking around right now. So, the quote from Milarepa, I believe, this is like, I'm reluctant to put a date to it, but let's just call it like 7 BC or something like that. I'm just like making it up. The quote was, to leave one's homeland is to achieve half the Dharma. To leave one's homeland is to achieve half the Dharma. Man, as an individual who was birthed in Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts, United States of America, to travel and meditate on Zen in Padmasana pose, at the top of Tokyo Skytree Tower, I achieved at least half the Dharma. Not saying I got the whole thing, but I think I took a fair bite out of it just by that one activity. Straight up, man. Never the same after that. Okay, so also just straight up, man, go to Japan. If you're like, it's such a no-brainer. I want to go back so badly. I did Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, and then just like a couple just like different cities that we were kind of like around just to like bop in and out. But like we were going to like rural areas where they had like the best. Oh, I forgot to say the thing about the ramen, dude. Okay, so ramen in Tokyo Station, they have this like one corridor. It's kind of like a hidden corridor basically, and they invite all the top ramen chefs from like all around Tokyo to have like a little miniature like version of their restaurant along this one corridor. So it's a concentration of all the best ramen in all of Tokyo in like one corridor. It's this like hidden like energy field on Earth essentially. So we would shoot in there every morning to kick our day off with some breakfast ramen, and it was just like the most ridiculous ramen ever, man. And then so from there we go Osaka. I forget the name of the main drag right now, it escapes me, but just like the place where the crab brain soup place is, like, you know, look that up, or where the famous like the runner guy digital thing is. Like I got pictures in front of that and everything like that. Just like Osaka is just so dope too. And I think people forget this. I think as of the time of filming this, I think Osaka is like one of the top 10 most populated cities on the planet right now. So like Osaka's gigantic as well, man. And so then Kyoto, just because I'm like, you know, as you can tell, I'm super into Zen and like Japanese philosophies and everything like that. And so went to Kyoto, wandered around like a bunch of the temples and, you know, all this just like stuff that is just like, you know, philosophical crack to my mind. And eating just like it was a trip of the humble pursuit of Zen and eating the most delicious food ever. We were having that wagyu beef or something like that, man. On the walk up to some of these temples in Kyoto that we were going to, they had like food stands on like the walk, the incline up, and you could stop and just get like wagyu beef on a stick for like some short cash like that you would spend. And then you're eating this thing, walking into some like enlightenment temple, about to, you know, observe how like these ancient sages sort of like go about their business while you're eating steak on a stick. That's the most delicious thing you've ever had in your entire life. All right, I'll get off. God, I want to go back to Japan so badly, man. No, positive mental attitude. I will go back to Japan. I will go back to Japan. I gotta, honestly, that meditating in Padmasana on Zen at the top of Tokyo Skytree Tower, I think I gotta do that one twice, man. I think I gotta do that one twice. Whew, man, you'll think about some stuff, I'll tell you that, boy. So, anyway, now, okay, back to, remember, the whole spine of this thing is that Zen equals flow state. Zen equals flow state. Now, there's a concept, because like from the Zen stuff that I've read, everyone's trying to define Zen, and like there's different competing schools of thought for it. Again, no Zen master, no Zen scholar or anything like that. I just live my life in the humble pursuit of Zen. So I think that entitles me to speak upon it if that's my pursuit in life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and also, in my humble opinion, you don't need to be an academic philosopher to pontificate about like your life experience and stuff that you think about. So, I'm not saying that, you know, like academic philosophers are like, you know, like bad people, or that this stuff that they say isn't valid. Obviously, they're super studied or whatever, but like I don't think you don't necessarily have to have a degree to pontificate about stuff you've experienced or that you've studied, in my humble opinion. But so, in Japanese Zen, there's this concept. I wish I could do it justice in Japanese, but I just don't speak Japanese. I don't speak Japanese. And I think it's called no mind. Like, what is Zen? Zen is no mind. Like, one sort of school of thought I think that comes from Japanese Zen is no mind. And then I can't do it justice, but there's various, like, you know, explanations for that. So here's my particular pontification about how this works. I find that when I'm in flow state, and I'll do a little on flow state after this just to bring it home, but I'm going to sort of start by connecting the two topics here to begin with. I find that when I'm in flow state, I'm experiencing what I call a state of aconsciousness. One word. Aconsciousness. That's what I personally experience when I'm in a state of flow. And the deeper the flow, the deeper the aconsciousness is. Okay? Now, to me, this concept of no mind is identical to my sensation of a consciousness that occurs when I'm in flow state, okay? That's the fundamental crux of the argument, is that this conception of Zen, which is no mind, is the same state of consciousness, rather a consciousness, that you experience when you're in flow state. That's sort of the fundamental, like, good morning, miss. That's sort of the fundamental take-home point of this freestyle philosophy argument. Mountain uphill right now. It's a little tough. I gotta breathe. Breathe with me. Zen breathing. I do have a full-time job, by the way. I don't just like walk around talking to myself in public all the time. I just have the day off today, so on my days off, I walk around and make some videos. And my day job has nothing to do with Zen philosophy or anything of that nature. It's like a, spreadsheets and analysis type job. So that's part of the reason why I like thinking about this sort of stuff so frequently, is it's sort of like a release from the, data analysis and all the kind of stuff that I do for my vocation. So it's kind of like a nice, I don't know, it affords me some sort of like psychological catharsis to some degree to, think about philosophy, think about Zen, sort of ponder the deeper things in life, time, reality, consciousness as sort of a release on the valve of my, good morning guys, a release on the valve of my mind that would otherwise be purely engaged in, seeing what numbers add up, what numbers don't add up type stuff. That's That's a gross oversimplification of the complexity of what I do for a living, but for the purposes of this video, we're trying to stay Zen. And Zen is a simple yet frustrating concept. One man's opinion. So, flow state. Let's talk flow, baby. Let's talk flow, baby. Now, again, no expert whatsoever in flow state analysis. I just read a shitload about it. So, if you want to look into flow state, because let me say this first and foremost. The term flow state has been so colloquialized and detached from its initial primary text and academic underpinnings that it's basically lost all value whatsoever. Like, I see so many times on the internet, I'll hear some influencer just be using the term like completely incorrectly just because it sounds cool, man. Flow state just sounds cool. That's why everybody wants to like talk about it. And so you'll see people who are like, I'm gonna get into flow state, bro, or like it's flow state time now, or just like all this nonsense. I'm saying like these people have no idea what they're talking about, and here's why. Okay, I'm gonna get up in flow state, bro. Those people, come on. And I'll tell you why. Because don't want to make assumptions, but I think there's a extremely high likelihood that they haven't read the primary text, which is Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience. If you haven't read that book, if you haven't read that book, it's difficult for you to discuss flow state on the same level as someone who has read the true academic studies and underpinnings of what the concept actually is. Because there's significant complex psychological underpinnings to that actual state. And Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience, that's the book, okay? And if you don't have time to read the whole thing, I would just suggest reading chapter 2. I think it's been a little while since I've read it, but it's like my favorite book, basically. I think chapter 2 just gives sort of a good breakdown of like the attention dynamics and psychic energy dynamics when it comes to like being in a state of flow. And then if you really want to get into the study of flow state, there's another gentleman by the name of Stephen Kotler, who has written a whole bunch of great books on flow and other stuff. If you're the reader type, I would invite you to consider, by Stephen Kotler, The Rise of Superman. And then he also has another book that isn't necessarily dedicated to flow state that I really enjoy, which is called The Art of Impossible. The Art of Impossible. So the way that I conceptualize it when it comes to flow state is I consider Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi to be sort of like the godfather of flow state, the guy who like invented or sort of like coined the phrase. And I consider Stephen Kotler to sort of be like the present prince of flow state, like sort of like the heir apparent to the throne. That's just sort of how I conceptualize both guys. And man, if either of you guys ever randomly see this video, shout out to you guys, because you completely changed the course of my life with your writings and works and speeches and just your life sort of outlooks and everything like that. People get so frustrated with me when I walk around talking into a stick by myself in the morning, and I understand them. They have a valid criticism. They're like, what's this guy? I'm in South Florida. There's like a lot of, ex-New Yorkers down here, and I see them give me the, what's this guy? This guy doing that thing to me. That's what that guy just did. Good for him. Except I'm from Boston, so I'm a Red Sox fan, so we don't really like the Yankees fans. But Also, shout out to everybody from New York too. I respect the Yankees as a franchise just because I think the Red Sox and Yankees rivalry is like one of the best in all of sports, like globally, obviously. So I try to exhibit, you know, a fair amount of respect for, you know, the Yankees franchise and the Yankees fan base as a Red Sox fan to the best of my ability. However, I was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts, and when you are raised in Boston, Massachusetts, United States of America, there is one philosophical fact that is sort of drilled into your consciousness from a very early age, and it does hold true even into my present adulthood. And what that one profound philosophical fact is that Yankees suck. Okay? I'll just leave it at that. The hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, flow, Zen equals flow state. Zen equals flow state equals Zen. Same thing. Flow state, okay? I'll just sort of explain how now again, I'm not an expert in flow state. Check, Stephen Kotler does excellent work on like very specifically defining the what he calls creating the conditions for flow, because it's not like you will yourself into a flow state. In my experience, and just based on the stuff that I've read, you sort of like slip into flow state. It's not like you're like, I'm gonna jump into it right now. It don't work like that. You just have to create the conditions for flow state, and then the way that I've experienced it, flow state just sort of like absorbs your consciousness into it until you're just in the zone. Like flow state is just being in the zone. And so I guess, I mean, if we were to you know, just extend sort of the identity propositions that we're going with here. Come on, Miss. If we were to extend sort of the identity propositions that we're going with here, in my opinion, if you take the logical, if you take the logical extension of my argument, Zen just means being in the zone, right? If Zen equals flow state, Zen just means you're in the zone, okay? So whenever you're in the zone, you're Zen. You're in Zen, whatever you want to call it. Because remember, the Japanese what is Zen definition of no mind is what I consider to be identical to the psychological state of aconsciousness that you experience in flow state. Because anybody who's been in flow state, you're there, but you ain't really there. I call it elsewhere still present. Elsewhere still present. That's how I experience flow state. I'm elsewhere entirely, but I'm still present. That's my definition of I've heard flow state also termed the deep now. The deep now. I call flow state, my particular experience of how it operates, elsewhere still present. Elsewhere still present, or the aconscious state. Okay, because man, if you've been in flow state before, man, you know how time don't work the same in flow state as it does in other periods of your life. Time is an enigma in flow state. Arguably, the most enigmatic component of flow state is how time passes. You can be in flow for whoever knows how long, and also just by mentioning this is going to take me out of flow, but in case you can't tell, I've been in flow for significant periods of this video so far. Flow oftentimes is considered when you lose track of time. Man, I have no idea about talking for a half an hour right now. No idea. And that just sort of broke my flow just to like mention that, but I had to do it. I have no recollection about the past 30 minutes. Zero. Right now, if you were to ask me like what has been going on for the past half hour, I'd be like, I have no idea, blacked out. Like I can barely grasp the concepts that I'm presently talking about. I still have like the rubric in my mind, but I'm not like, for the past half hour, man, I was somewhere else entirely. Straight up. I mean, I was here. I was elsewhere, but still present. That's flow state. That's the aconsciousness, the aconscious state, which I find to be Zen, man. Zen equals flow state, straight up, man. I don't know of a sensation. I don't know. Good morning. I don't know of a sensation that's more Zen-like than being in flow state. And I think, you know, I wish I knew more about Zen to be able to discuss this on like a scholarly or academic level, but I think there's a school of thought that says Zen is basically like an experiential thing. Like you can't describe it, you just have to experience it. How similar is that to flow state? How similar is that to flow state? You can experience flow state, but man, how difficult is it to describe flow state? You have to use abstract terminology in the same fashion that you do with Zen, where you say, oh, flow state is elsewhere, still present. Flow state is aconsciousness. Flow state is being in the zone. Think about how similar the concepts of Zen and flow state are already. In my humble opinion, identical. But think about the two concepts. The only possible way that they can be, good morning, guys. These people are like, what the hell is this guy talking about? The two concepts are so similar, in my humble opinion, identical, that they can only be described in abstract terminology. Only be described in abstract terminology. And look at how similar the abstract terminology for both is already. No mind, a conscious state, only possible to experience in the zone. Like, it's the same shit. It's the same shit. Flow state is Zen. It's the same thing. Now I'll save that's sort of where I'm gonna leave my freestyle philosophical argument at this morning, and I'll just leave it at that. I was gonna go into, maybe I'll make another video about this, but I was gonna make another video about like how I experience flow state and the different activities that I do. One is definitely walking and talking like I've been doing, but another's writing, and I used to enjoy golfing before I was in a near-death car accident in 2023 in which I sustained permanent spinal damage and traumatic brain injury. So check out my other videos if you want to hear that whole story. And then yeah, I'll just leave that freestyle philosophical argument at that. And this is baby blue mind, baby blue like the color, mind like the one that I firmly believe was in flow state for a significant portion of this video, which I found quite enjoyable being in. Oh, one last thing. So I have this other concept about the fundamental metric of humanity, which I call quality of life per conscious second. Quality of life per conscious second. I have another video on my channel that discusses that. I think it's called philosophy destroyed my mind, or philosophy broke my brain. And so as of filming this video, I'm sort of trying to link these two theories, that flow state equals Zen the fundamental metric of human life is quality of life per conscious second. So I'm still kind of like working on that shit. I might have to go back and meditate in Tokyo Skytree Tower. If you haven't started booking your trip there already, man, I might have to do that when I get home. So y'all have a wonderful day. Baby blue mind. Baby blue like the color. Mind like the one I try to get in and stay in flow. So y'all have a wonderful whatever it is, wherever you are.